Our court clock said about 2 till, so.
This conference will now be recorded.
You can
Okay.
have whichever clock you want.
Okay.
This one says 8:59.
It's all right.
One says 8:59.
Yeah. Well, nonetheless, I still think it'd be best if Randy took the lead on this one.
Okay. Well, it's close enough to 9 o'clock. Let's go ahead and have the pledge of allegiance. Pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good to see you, Jonah. It looks like you made it, and looks like, but I thought you was gonna be in a rough cabin and camping and all this. Don't look like it's too rough up there.
No, hadn't quite. We went out and scouted some spots, but decided not to leave the cabin until after this meeting,
Okay.
so I could keep my eyes.
Alrighty. Getting on with the meeting here, we'll get into public comments first. We have no public here in the office or in the meeting room. Tina, do you see anything on the?
No, there are no comments on the public, on the chat.
Okay. We'll move on in then to administrative business. Let you have the takeover, Gina.
Okay, and we also have the COVID update on here, and we have been doing that first typically.
Okay.
Are you okay with?
Yeah.
Let's see.
See if somebody's. Deidre,
Yes.
Okay.
go ahead and give us anything you have to catch us up on.
Okay, currently Marion County is at 33 cases with 11 active. Please keep in mind that press release information will vary, and this is due to HIPAA and not releasing personal identifying information. I would also like to remind the public of this, that Marion County should not be compared to McPherson County, Harvey County, or any other county whose population base is bigger. In those counties, it's much harder to deduct who has the case or who is the case based on various information being released. In smaller counties, it's much easier to identify individuals through some of that information. For example, if I say a 49-year-old female living in rural Marion working at facility A, and facility A may only have 4 employees, how easy is it to deduct versus if a larger county said a 49-year-old female living in Park City working at facility A with 300 employees? So that we've had a lot of comments on Facebook about why we don't identify information, and that's exactly why. Currently, at this time, there are a couple cases. We are still trying to determine exposure or whether Marion County indeed has community spread. And when we determine that, we will keep you all posted on that. Now, Tina, if you want to go to the KDHE COVID website, I would just kind of like to walk the commission and all the public who is watching the information they can gain from KDHE's map. Is that possible?
Yeah, hold on. I think.
Hey, Deidre, this is Dave while we're waiting. Are any,
Yes.
are any of these people in the hospital?
The map will kind of show you the hospitalizations. And I know we have had some in the hospital, so I don't know if they're currently in the hospital. As of Friday, there were some, and I haven't got the update yet.
Okay, the screen is on.
And we have had a case that was in another, it was a Marion County case that was treated with, I know Jonah had asked, treated with remdesivir and fresh frozen plasma, and that seemed to do a good job. So Tina, if you go on the COVID cases in Kansas, click on that top link. And then kind of scroll down, and that's the overall map. And if you hover over Marion County, it tells the total cases, but this has not been updated since Friday. So that should be updated sometime today around noon. Now, if you click on Marion County, now scroll down. That, the first chart, as you see, was the total cases. If you go up to this chart, the first chart, it's the symptoms of the cases, and you can hover over those bars and it will show you the date, the onset of the symptoms. The second graph shows the new cases, the total cases, and again, you hover over the bars and it will show you that they're like June 15, 2 new cases. So that provides information. If you scroll all the way back, as you can see though, Marion County, our cases are on the rise. Scroll back up to the tabs. Keep going. And look at all those tabs up there. You can click on the case rate tab. And you can filter, if you look down, you can filter that by date, and it will show you you can change that date, and it will show you for whatever date. If you scroll down, the map will give you the rate. And that is based per 1,000. Okay, and go up to the tabs again and click on testing rate. Okay, and scroll down. Keep going. And if you hover over Marion County, it will show you the confirmed cases, the patients tested, and the rate. And if you scroll down further, keep going one more. And if you look up there, it shows a little box in the negative and positive. You can click on there and go to Marion County. And then you can hover over those bars and it will show you the number of negative tests on that day. Now keep in mind there is some lag time for that, but the blue are the number of positives and the orange are the number of negatives. So that just gives you some idea. Okay, scroll back up to the tabs again and go to the hospital summary. And if you scroll down, again above the chart, you can click into Marion County. And if you hover over the bars, and that does give you an age breakdown also. The orange are hospitalized and the blue is non-hospitalized. And that is a percentage of that age group. Okay, so I would encourage everybody just to go ahead and, you know, check if you have questions about cases, go ahead and use this because it is interactive and some of the tabs you can go ahead and break down. Are there any questions on that?
On the lag time, that's only at the most a week, right? I mean, it should be updated by then.
It should, yeah.
Okay.
And you have to keep in mind, this information is derived from what we, as the investigating nurse or the contact tracer, puts in the EpiTracks. Now, the testing may be a little bit more of a lag time, like the negatives and the percentage, because right now, as we all know, in the United States, the cases are increasing, they're doing more testing, and labs are becoming a little bit, I don't know if you'd call it backed up, but it's taking longer for them to run tests. So we're seeing if providers send them to like LabCorp or Quest, they are taking about anywhere from 5 to 7 days to get the results back. Whereas KDHE lab, it's about 2 days. The problem with KDHE lab is they still do have to meet criteria. If they're a contact of someone, they still have to have symptoms, or in certain cases, if they go through the health department, testing can be done. We had a situation where we did a test and we contacted Epi and they were very good about running the test as soon as possible. Because anytime you have it in a, you presumptive have it in a facility, or if there was a positive, we want to get that those results as quick as possible, and it just so happened that we could do that, and so we got the results back. We did it one day, and by that evening, since the specimen was able to be delivered, we got the results back. So, any other questions?
Don't appear to be from the commission, Karen. Jonah?
Okay, I just want to remind the community of contact tracing. We ask the individual to think back 2 days from when they had their first symptom, or if they're asymptomatic, from when they received the positive test, and then contacts are identified from that point. A contact is someone that is within 6 feet for 10 minutes. And an individual who is identified through this process will be contacted by the health department and placed in quarantine. Many times these individuals have already been contacted by the case himself or herself. There are times when the individual has not been contacted by the case, so we contact them. And we ask the contact individual that they treat the situation with respect and don't try to find out who their contact may have been if they are unknown. When we do find a contact or identify a contact, we put them in quarantine. So anybody, and of course the positive case is in isolation, so anybody that the health department puts in quarantine or isolation, they do receive a letter, and we also will provide letters to that individual to give to their employer. Now, we won't be supplying letters if individuals self-quarantine or if they've traveled and they are self-quarantined. We won't provide letters to employers at that point, but we instead ask them to contact their healthcare provider, because we typically don't see individuals at the health department, so we don't have a patient roster. Therefore, it needs to come from their healthcare provider. Or if the employer happens to have an identified physician or a physician that they consult, that would be where they would need to go for a letter to have the client be excused from work. Are there any questions with that?
I'd just like to back up that point. If anybody does self-quarantine, they need to notify somebody that they're doing so. That way they have this individual had a different outcome. It was more of a struggle to get back to work. The employer wouldn't let him come back without somebody signing off on him. And made it pretty difficult on that person. So if they do self-quarantine, they need to notify somebody, a healthcare professional or somebody, so that so they have a record so they can return to work.
Yeah, that's something that employers really need to think about, because it could happen to one of their employees, and just get that understanding and that procedure worked out ahead of time. There are some employers that do discourage travel, so I'm sure they are aware of how to handle those situations. I would like to let the commission know that I have received quite a few emails regarding the mask requirement, and I think at this point, I'm not sure what the governor is going to put out today, but I feel that we really need to encourage the public to wear masks. I feel like that a mandate with masks would help out those businesses who are trying to get their customers to wear masks. If the county has a way of surveying, I would like to put a survey out, unless the commission is ready to just go ahead and mandate masks.
Kent, do you have a question before we get
Well, I just, Deidre, this contact tracing, is there any, does your contact tracer keep track of how many people out of county that are being contacted? I mean,
What
give
we
us an idea
usually
if people
do
are traveling.
is we contact, like, if we feel that a contact of a positive case is, if they've been identified and they live from another county, then we call that county, and then that county takes over the monitoring and the quarantining of that case. If it's a positive case that we feel was a contact of someone in that county, then we take care of the individuals that live in Marion County. And the contact, if they're identified as a contact, we don't monitor them daily. And if they develop symptoms, they are to call their healthcare provider. I don't know if that answered your question.
I just wanted to know, would there be a, it would be kind of nice to know what the percentage of contacts are actually from out of county, and give us an idea of, our population is traveling every day to Sedgwick County, or Harvey County or whatever it is, I mean, we have so little information, and you addressed it, but about every day somebody is saying, can't they at least put the case comes from northern Marion County or southern Marion County, or, you know, I don't know, I just get that question a lot.
Yeah, we have in the beginning, of the second wave, our cases, a number of them were, I would say, exposed in other counties.
But we don't really have a way of saying 70% of them were exposed in another county.
What we would have to do is have someone go through those records and figure that out. And again, that would be time consuming, and a lot of the nurses are the ones who have access to that system. And at this time, they're pretty much spending most of their time doing the monitoring and contact tracing.
Deidre, is it safe to say that if you don't say that we have any community spread, that pretty much all those cases have either developed outside of Marion County, or it's a family unit?
Correct.
Okay.
And I mentioned earlier that we do have a couple cases that we're still trying to determine the exposure or whether we do have community spread. And as soon as it's determined that we have community spread, we will release that information. It just takes, it's not just, okay, we call them and we determine it right then. We have to see if, we have to reach out and say someone attends an event. We can't just say, oh, you got it at that event. We have to reach out and say, okay, was anybody else positive from that event? And that, with testing taking 5 to 7 days, we may not know right away. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead. Anybody? You asked a question about mask, if we was ready to move ahead with that. I think that's why you're on the agenda and some of that, and to keep us updated and everything. And I just guess I'll ask the commission now, is there anyone here willing to move ahead with a mask order or anything to that effect?
I would be in favor of it. I mean, I've had some business people contact me about, they would like the county commissioners to be leaders and, you know, mandate it. It'd make their job easier to mandate it at their establishments. Most businesses are requiring it now, but they can't enforce it.
I have also had phone calls from local business people here in Marion too, so.
Yeah, I've had, you know, some of the preachers are kind of they would like that too, but they don't want to come out and say that. I mean, they'd like more people to wear masks in services.
Okay.
Well, yeah, it's a tough.
So I would say, well, when it comes to preachers, I would say in our church, you know, your preacher has control, and he has the right to say what will happen in that church. And so ours does require masks in our church. I don't like it, but that's what our preacher said, and that's what we do. As far as the businesses are concerned, I personally would be more in favor of allowing the businesses to enforce a mandate. Let each business make their own choice. You know, you go to a business and sometimes there's a sign that says no shirt, no shoes, no service. You could easily, you know, the businesses know their clientele. And some of the businesses, they know that most of their clientele don't wish to wear a mask, and so if they don't enforce it, that's up to them. But if the business has a lot of clientele that they really want the mask, and they can go ahead and put the sign on there and say, no shoes, no shirt, no service, or whatever. They don't have a problem putting a no gun sign on the door. Whatever they don't want in their business, they have the right to do that. And I think the county should stand behind them to enforce it if they have an issue with it, if somebody has a problem with somebody coming in to violate that. But on the other hand, a flat across the board mandate, if I'm walking my dog out in the open where Kent is, and somebody sees me out there in the open as they're driving by, and I'm not wearing a mask, I don't want to have a bunch of, I don't want to put people in those positions to wear a mask. Is just not applicable.
Okay.
Well, and then you get to the key word is enforcement.
Right.
Somebody tell me how you enforce it.
Well, see, and that's the trick. You're right. And even if we put on a
That's
mandate, how quickly?
That's an infringement.
It certainly is. It certainly is. But just like I said, with the no shirts or the no shoes, now I wouldn't go into a place with no shirt or no shoes. But some people do. Some people go in their pajamas.
But the businesses do have every right to say you have to have a mask.
That's
It's just,
right.
I've been into businesses and I try to wear a mask where I know that they ask you to do that, and people aren't doing it.
That's right. And
And
that's
so is the answer to that is, okay, county, you take over?
I think we need to find out what that is, because I don't know that we know.
I just walked into a business the other day and it said, please have a mask on, but if you don't have one on, we won't turn your business down. I
And
mean,
that's-
a
yeah.
business owner has every right to say, you need to leave and get a mask on.
That's correct. They have that right. And the same way with a person. If you go there and it says requires a mask and you don't want to wear a mask, you need to go to the next business
Yeah,
that isn't requiring it. I mean, it's all,
Same way with the churches.
That's correct.
If the church board decides that everybody needs to be masked up, that's fine, that's their, that's their
and if I
right.
don't want to attend, I don't have to attend. I mean, it gives everybody the freedom to do it.
Right.
So I would certainly support any business who wishes to put that in place.
Yeah. It just, it's just a sticky subject, because like you said, I might be out on my tractor
That's right.
in the middle of nowhere and somebody drives by and turns me in.
That's
Okay,
exactly
now,
right.
who's gonna enforce that?
And not only that, look at what road we're going down there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay. Jonah, you got anything?
No, not really more than what's already been discussed. I mean, I do believe in the businesses and backing the businesses and what they decide to do and helping them enforce whatever they choose to do. But as a whole, I struggle with a mandate of anything, so.
Okay. I again will say just what I really feel, and that's, I appreciate the other counties around us making that decision, doing what they've done. They have a lot of people, a lot more people than we have. They're still not as rural. And I'm talking Harvey, and I don't know about McPherson County exactly what they've done, but Harvey County I know went ahead and changed over to where to mandate to wear a mask. I think it's everybody's responsibility. We heard 30 minutes of meeting last week that the mask ain't doing nothing. Well, maybe not. I'm not going to say yay or nay. I think it helps, and I think it should be. But it's my choice still to wear that mask. Not to here, maybe not my choice, but out in the public it is. And when I'm working, I follow the company's rules that I work for. So that's enough said on that. I feel that I don't have a quorum here that's ready to make that decision, go ahead and mandate masks. But I think you, the individual, has to take it upon yourself to do what you feel is right and leave it at that. So.
Well, I would like for everybody, I emailed a link of an article to Tina. It was in the MMWR, which is the Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report, about a salon, hair salon, that a shout out to the salons that make their clients and they wear face masks, because in a study among 139 clients exposed to 2 symptomatic hairstylists, there were 67 tested and they were all negative. So masks, I mean, this is a very good article. And, you know, even in the state of Kansas, we are not seeing the transmission, and we all know that's close contact for quite some time, that that they do work.
Okay. Is there any, Dave? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, I just wanted to say that I feel that people in the county are looking to us for leadership, because they elected us to these offices, and we, I mean, it's not a popular vote, but I feel strongly that it is needed to either strongly encourage or mandate.
Because we also have to remember that when I wear a mask, I am protecting everybody around me. So, you know, we get a lot of this, well, it's my right not to wear a mask. Well, yeah, that's fine, but if you're the person that's symptomatic and you're not wearing a mask, then, you know, that's my right too, that I should be protected from you.
Yeah. It's a tough question, whichever way you feel about it. It's not an easy answer. I just think people, and then again, Deidre, how does people know once they have it? I mean, let's talk about the symptoms real quick. Like, is it going to come across as we hear people has had it and tested positive, but they've never felt no symptoms?
We have had some asymptomatic, and they've been mostly tested because they were a contact and they just wanted to be tested. You can have like cold-like symptoms, headache, fever, and that's one thing that we can't get so focused on the fever, because we have had a good portion of the clients not running a fever. They may have just had a bad headache. They may have lost their sense of taste or smell. They may have had diarrhea. And that's where, you know, we've seen some cases where, well, they just went to work because they thought it was allergies. They thought it was a cold. Well, no, it wasn't. So we still don't know everything about this virus, and that's what's making it hard to determine.
Okay. All righty.
Anybody else here? I'd heard, I hadn't looked it up for myself or double checked it, but Fauci had come out the other day that said asymptomatic is not, can't transmit the virus. Has anybody else heard that?
I heard that. I didn't listen to it because I got kind of numb to him, but yeah, I did hear something about that.
I hadn't heard.
So,
Okay.
I think there are studies going on that right now. Is if you're sicker, is the transmission easier than if you're, you know, asymptomatic? But I mean, just from things I've seen, from places I've read, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like what came first, the chicken or the egg. So you have asymptomatic people and you test a symptomatic person, and then you trace back 2 days, and sometimes we find, oh, that person was around someone who had kind of a cold. So then you test that person and they're positive. So who gave it to who?
Yeah. Still a lot of unanswered questions. Deidre, I thank you for the job you're doing. Unless you have some final wrap-up statements, or anybody else has some final wrap-up statements, I'm gonna ask for before I close this. Is there anything, anybody else?
No, I have no further comment other than wear your mask when you can't social distance and when you're in public.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. We'll visit again next week. That's why it's on the calendar, or on our agenda here, is to talk about it. If we have some mask outbreaks of clusters and things, why, that might change some people's ideas. I'm not going to guarantee it, but I'm thinking that we all got to be aware of it and do our best in protecting ourselves and protecting other people. So, thank you, Deidre.
Yes.
Administrating business.
Okay. In your packets, you just had some informational items. You have a public notice regarding water pollution control. That's also posted on our website for the public to view. You also had some revenue reports and quarterly or monthly expenditure reports. So I'm just gonna scan through those unless someone had a question about.
Does anybody have any questions there on the reports you sent out? Tina, those were just monthly, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
I do have the minutes of July 13th.
Okay. Do I hear a motion for the minutes of July 13th?
I'll make a motion to approve them.
Okay, I have a motion by Diane, I'd second that. All those in favor, say aye.
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 John, aye. 5-0.
You can just sign it and put twice. We do have some change orders and supplements. The change orders do require signatures, supplements are just for your information.
Go ahead and start with those, and I'll get these started. item on the business here is gonna be some salary sheets. First one I have is Luke Dawson, Road and Bridge, part-time to full-time equipment operator, from $10 an hour to $2,267 a month. Second one's Road and Bridge, Noah Dalrymple, 6-month raise from $2,267 to $2,310. Road and Bridge, John Millett, from 5-year longevity raise from 2006-11 to 2006-31. And this is at the jail. Travis Pullman, 6 months from $13.21 to $13.33 an hour. Next item up is early check.
Actually, there are two there, right?
There's two?
Yes.
Okay. Park state tax.
So that first item is the Park and Lake, their sales tax remittance for, to the state of Kansas for 101.86.
Okay.
And the second one is the Road and Bridge. That is the payment on the Tampa Road project at $227,824.10.
Is that the last one, or is that there one more?
I don't remember if it's this year or next year. That's the last one.
Tina, yes, it is the last payment.
Thank you, thank you.
The next item would be, in your packet, you had the minutes of the Spark Task Force. And they did vote to retain Scott Lloyd's firm, Swindle, Jansen, Hawk, and Lloyd for the administrative portion of the Spark funds. And so this they have voted to approve it. The commission needs to go ahead and execute the agreement. So approve to move forward and then actually sign the document.
I will make a motion to approve the recommendation by the Spark Task Force to retain Swindle, Jansen, Hawk, and Lloyd,
Okay.
and the amount to not exceed $35,000.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Jonah, second by Kent, on the Spark Task Force hiring Swindle, Jansen, Hawk, and Lloyd firm for auditors. All those in favor of that, say aye.
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 Aye, okay, 5-0.
And Jonah, can we use your stamp for your signature on that?
Yes,
It's signed by the full board, so.
yep, that's,
Okay, and that was all that I had on administrator.
Okay. But you know what, you're first up on our list too.
Yes. I do need an executive session for non-elected personnel to discuss hiring. And
What kind of time frame are you looking
I
at?
think it won't take very long, 5 or 10 minutes would be plenty.
Okay.
I'll just call one of you guys.
Okay.
So how,
Let's go 10 and be back at 10 minutes, and that way we'll be back at 10 o'clock.
okay?
I move we recess into executive session in order to discuss personnel for 10 minutes with the board here and Tina and Jonah will be on a phone call pursuant to KSA 75-431-9B, non-elected personnel, that's item number 1.
For hiring, you said?
Yes.
All right, personnel.
Second,
Have a second by Jonah. All those in favor of that, say aye.
I,
Aye.
aye.
5-0.
Okay. So we will be back on the public meeting back at 10 o'clock. And you can't go back on. This is back on, and we're not recording yet on the meeting. Let me see if I can get that.
I didn't pass on that item stuff.
Well, it's a lot of buttons to press.
This conference will now be recorded.
All right, I think we're back.
Okay. Out of executive session, I think we have some wage sheets here to be presented.
No, I don't think so. It's not it's not.
South wage.
information.
I don't think I have all 3 of those.
See, I got one.
Yeah.
Get that. First one here will be Michelle Looper, Newey, election clerk, at $2,267 a month.
I've got the 3rd one coming. I didn't have it.
Sharon Dover, raise for Sharon Dover. Additional duties to equalization from $2,204 a month to $2,304 a month. We have one more we will present here shortly.
Yeah, she should have it real quick here, so. I thought I already had it. I apologize.
Sarah Spencer. This is a 16-year-old high school student, or at the age of high school. We're gonna hire as a part-time correction interim for $7.25 an hour. That 16-year-olds is something that we feel is good as to try to get our young people involved in government and things. So this would probably be one way to start it out. See if we can continue this plan. All right, you're done then, Tina?
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to Road and Bridge.
What do you have?
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry. We thought Deidre was coming off, but then she still provided her report, and there was also an agreement here, so
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Am I not supposed to give my quarterly?
No, we had taken you off, but then we got your report after, and we didn't revise the thing again, so.
Okay, yeah, I had you crossed off, Deidre, but
Sorry, that's
go ahead
my
real
fault.
quick, like.
Oh, well, I guess you don't want to hear, so that's
No,
fine.
No.
It's not that, I
No.
mistakenly had crossed you off.
Yeah, just go right ahead with what you got.
Okay, I just was gonna let you know that I completed my fourth quarterly FSRs for the aid to local grant. There was, as Tina mentioned, there's a Marion County Special Ed school screen agreement between the health department, and that needs a chairman's signature. So that can either be done, you know, when Jonah gets back, because I'm not sure how that school screen process will look like. I just completed the WIC federal fiscal year 2021 budget. It's waiting for the signature of the dietitian who's coming in today. I'll get that done and sent off. And then once that's approved, I'll be asking commission signature for that. I'm working on several other COVID-related grants, and when those are finished, I'll bring those forth. I've been meeting with the college, also have been meeting with the schools. In fact, I have a meeting with all 5 districts today regarding their reopening plan. We plan to start training a nurse. We have someone hired, plan to start training her to assist with investigations and contact tracing, and we're still looking for a second PRN nurse. And then I think each one of you got the pulse. I won't, just to move along quickly, I think you can read through that yourself. Do you have any questions?
I don't believe anybody has so far. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I'm finished.
With the governor's reopening of school plan, depending on how that flies with the state board, is that gonna change anything that you've been doing with the schools?
You mean as far as like the school screens?
Yeah, whatever you're planning with the different school districts.
Are you talking about?
Yeah,
Yeah, reopening, excuse me.
yeah, the reopening right now, the governor announced last week that they should postpone till September, till after Labor Day. They're checking into that to see if districts can open sooner or not. So that should be announced today. sometime later. I believe the governor has a press conference scheduled today. Our agreement with the special ed co-op, that's for hearing and vision screenings for all the 5 districts. So that, depending on how they reopen, what their plans are, that may affect. Generally, we go to a school, the screener screens everybody and then moves on to the next school. But it may take a little bit more time depending on how the schools plan to do their school year.
Okay. I can see that being a difficulty on that too, so. Thank you,
Deidre, did you say
Yeah,
did you say that this agreement can be done next week, or do you need it today?
No, that can be done next week when Jonah gets back, because just so we have it in place before school starts.
Okay, then I can send it out in a packet so the board can look at it ahead of time, so that's all.
Yes, that would be fine.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Deidre.
Thank you.
Road and Bridge, Bryce.
Yes, I'm here.
Step right up. Move right in the room here and tell us something. Go ahead.
The main thing that I have is for the cost share. I've been working on the plans. I'm talking with the contractors that would probably be involved in this, all of them. Still can be done this year. The biggest thing that I'm running into, I'm still finding out more information, was the chip seal, double chip seal that would be done at the end. That's typically got to be done by September 15th according to KDOT specs. That in itself I don't think was going to be a problem. The biggest problem I was facing was finding the aggregate for that. So if we wait to have the contractor signed and then get that material in, we may be kind of late in that. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and purchase the material through the county for ourselves, just to stockpile it, then put it on the contract so that it's just a matter of placing the material. They don't have to purchase and order it because it's going to take a couple of weeks to get the material in. So that won't be a problem. Now, the other thing I was kind of talking about was, would it be more beneficial to contract it out or for us to do the chip seal ourselves? With the reasoning being is typically when you do a full depth reclamation, the best thing to do is to leave the project closed until you get the double chip seal on. Well, in the case of Nighthawk, that's going to be about a 13-mile closure, and because typically a contractor would come in and do it all at one time, just for mobilization costs and whatever else. Now, I could specify that they should do X amount of time when they have it ready or whatever else, but that's one of the things I think based on what we're looking at. I think it probably would work best just to go ahead and contract it out and leave the road closed to through traffic, obviously providing access to the people that live along there, obviously to get them in and out of the house. One of the other options would be to, getting late in the year, would be to forego the chip seal and just put an asphalt overlay on top of it for, say, like 1.5 inches. Now, the problem with that is the chip seal is going to be, maybe $100,000, whatever else, where the asphalt overlay is going to be several million. So I think being cost prohibitive, we still should stick with the double chip seal, just for the cost savings, and then not hit the big budget, obviously, even with the cost share, because KDOT's maxed at their amount they were going to give. So I think I'm going to proceed with the double chip seal. The only other thing is, obviously, the sooner I get this out, the better. I'm talking with both guys, or all the guys that I've talked to, again, think it can be done this year. So I think we'll be okay there. Any questions on that so far?
Yeah, Bryce, just give me a difference, and I don't want it blown out of the ballpark. I want it fairly close. what a chip seal per mile, double chip seal per mile costs versus the asphalt. I mean, for a 2-inch, even an 1.5 inch or 2-inch. I can't remember, the last we did was a 3-inch on that, but now what was it over on 90th over there, and they was there?
Well, 90th ended up being about $250,000 for 2 miles, but again, that was essentially because the contractor had already mobilized to the site, was there. We typically use the factor of about $200,000 per mile for 2 inches. So assuming that I use that value, I would go back to $100,000 or $150,000 or so, maybe even more than that for an 1.5 inch overlay, compared to probably $15,000, $15,000 to $20,000, depending on what we get, things like that for the double chip seal. So it's basically a factor of 10 or thereabouts. But you know, again, that's what we work with in the industry. But the biggest, the chip seal is a fairly faster, or is definitely a faster alternative to get done, because the biggest thing that we would face with getting an asphalt contractor to do that is to get this work done later in the year. And I don't know how many people would still be able to handle 20 to 30,000 tons by the end of the year. Plus by doing that, they would basically guarantee that they would either have to bring it out of Wichita or Newton or Emporia or Abilene or Salina, depending on where they would come from. So we'd have very large trucking costs and a very slow process to get it done.
Well, I understand that, but I still was thinking, well, I know it was years ago, it was one of the first jobs, maybe that was the turn of the century, it was under 50,000 a mile for 2 inches. And that's, where we're at today, if we're at 200,000 for 2 inch, I wonder why we cannot redo our roads. I mean, recover them like we have before. So that's, I still want to look at some other jobs and make sure that's in the ballpark. But like you said, I would go back and look at the statement that was just done over on 90th to make sure where we're at. But
yeah.
Anyway.
Well, like I said, again, they were already on the project. They originally were going to put a plant closer, but they ended up trucking it all out of Wichita. But unfortunately, with the prices of the oil still contracted from last year's prices, nobody really knows for sure what the contract oil prices for next year will be. We could obviously hope that they would go down, but when you're talking about these high polymer asphalts, they're not like you can just go to any local refinery. They have to be blended and stuff like that. So
okay.
I would love to do. I mean, we could probably go back to a minimum of an inch overlay, which should drop our cost, but we're still dealing with mobilization and transport costs to get it here.
Yeah. Okay.
Bryce, on the cost share, do we have it broke down, on the cost share, what our share is gonna be on a double chip seal?
Yeah, KDOT is maxed out at $1,803,750, and our local match would be $971,250. But we're also in charge of any preliminary engineering and design, right-of-way utilities, and non-participating items, and all other costs associated with that. I will be able to do the inspection myself since I'm a certified inspector, so that will save a significant amount of extra out of money hiring somebody to be out there all the time. So we shouldn't really have any extra cost based on that.
Okay. Any other questions?
I just have one off of that subject. You gave us your wait list a couple weeks back. By next week, could you give us an updated one, Bryce?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Bryce, anything else? What you got?
Yes, as far as the report, I contacted Jeff Blosser up Morris County. He said that the STAR program, they use the same STAR program, and he said basically the same thing. It doesn't provide a good overall report. So what he came back with was just a Word document. He sent those copies to me. So I will get those lined up for us. I will tell you that Mid-States has been hauling on Diamond as well as 300th. And we are working on the last stretch of the hard rock up on Limestone north of 330th. And we've had Unruh, Robinson, and Bell Trucking all contract hauling rock for us. So I will follow up with those totals and locations. As far as rebuilds, we're pretty much done with Alamo. Now, one thing we did go back with is once we got the base rock on there, we went back with the Coffee County rock and put the 1.25 inch rock up on top. Seems to be performing pretty well. Obviously, it'll be a lot better once it gets all settled in and gets all bladed up the way it will be, down the road. So that will be the hard rock there. Now, we also did the same thing on Sunrise on the last 2 miles that we did up there from 220th to 240th. And today we started to rework on Diamond from 190th to US 56, working on that. Hopefully we don't get caught with the rain, but we have plenty of work to do there. We'll be moving around that area to Chisholm as well as Falcon in that area. The guys should finish up chip sealing on Old Mill today. We're going to move to do 140th east of Sunflower while we continue to use the bigger aggregate. And guessing probably 2 days to do there, and then we'll be working on Sunflower, north and south. Just FYI, we've talked amongst the guys, and we are coming clear into town, clear up to Main Street on South 3rd Street. Due to the amount of traffic and stuff like that, I think we may be altering our schedule a little bit and do that like after supper. We feel that would be very advantageous to avoid a lot of traffic control nightmares trying to flag people through and around there, doing the wider streets and stuff to that effect. So we think that'll be a win for everybody. And finally, what's that?
Bryce wasn't Sunflower, isn't that one we just crack sealed that, didn't we?
Yeah, it's been like 2 years ago,
So
something
we're
like
gonna
that.
go back over it now?
This is
Yeah,
chip and seal.
Yeah.
but this is chip seal, but not the crack seal, right? But if we get Sunflower now, I think it'd be a good time to do it. We can get a lot of things sealed up, give us a lot more years out of it. And then finally, KDOT announced the off-system bridge program again this year. They've given us to the end of August to get plans submitted on that. So Jess and I are gonna talk and try to find out. We submitted a project up on 210th and Alamo last year. So we're gonna reevaluate, see if that's our best choice or whatever the case may be. But again, that's more money out there to help the counties rebuild their structures.
Is that one that you're proposing, is that on one of our critical fracture list, or?
Yes, yeah, it's one of the, I think it's like in the top 5%, whatever else is of bad bridges. So it's a steel beam span bridge and pretty bad shape, so.
Okay.
So, other than that, I think that's all I have.
Any commissioners got anything?
Yeah, Bryce, 290th between Durham and Lincolnville.
Yep.
Most of that road's held up pretty good, but I noticed that it's starting to kind of separate across.
Yep.
Would that be a candidate for a crack seal?
If it's starting to if it's cracking, yes, we can crack seal it. Unfortunately, there's some other issues going on there. We got a lot of settlement or soft spots starting to develop. I don't know why that is, but basically our plan is to go back and blade patch that yet this year, as well as work on our way north. to try to get those worked out. My plan is to hopefully get that crack seal machine back up to running and get that going later on this year. Actually, the best time to try to crack seal is when it's cooler and no moisture. When it's cooler, the asphalt is cooler and actually opens up the crack wider, so you get better penetration down into the crack. So, but yes, that's part of my plan, is to get the crack sealing back going too.
Bryce, do you have a clue on, I know you got a clue, but do you know exactly where your rock budget is right now? I didn't look this weekend or look any things up to see where you was at.
Based on end of June numbers, we are at 75% of rock budget, but that was just for the commodity of rock itself. We are over on contract hauling. Based on where we are now, I'm guessing that we will probably, by the end of this month, reevaluate the contract hauling to find out where we are and get back with you to determine on whether you want us to keep hauling rock or lay off for a while. We're still going to be able to haul, we're still going to have to haul rock on our rebuilds, so that money will come out of there too. But based on the hauling amount, I mean, we're significantly over on that, but we're still at or below the budget for the rock commodities.
That's what I'm hoping the commissioners would address here in the near future, hearing how much rock we're hauling. Yeah, I know it gets there, and I know it gets there, at the time you need it, but do we have the budget for it this year is what I'm addressing the commission with. So anybody have any comments on that as commission? No, take them later date then. Nobody has any right now, but be thinking about it because.
Well, we're gonna have to, there's, like you said, the rebuilds will have to rock.
Yeah.
And we're still trying to catch up a little bit on some of the roads that just about get impassable when we get less than a half-inch of rain.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and so I know it's right now, it's a busy time, your men's working on a lot of different projects, that's something else that we gotta look at too, so.
Yeah. I also forgot to mention too that we've also been, when we can, break the trucks loose a little bit as we've been putting sand on top of these rebuilds. That's going to be a wonderful addition to be able to help maintain these roads and the drainage. So we are continuing to work on that.
Again, I've been hit this weekend by people saying you're doing good when you're hauling sand. There's a lot of people that, especially at intersections and people that live by the intersections, that's what I'm hearing from, a lot of it, that just if they could just do the last, because that seems to be where it's pretty dirty and settles around their houses and things, so.
It really helps with the drainage with this rock too. It gets incorporated with that rock and makes a good base, so.
Okay.
We're continuing to work on it.
All righty, thank you, Bryce.
Thanks.
Moving on here. Families and communities together fact.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Terry Biebermeyer. I'm the new director as of April of 2019. I took over for Ashley. She wanted to.
Yeah, you might speak right into that. Sit down and speak
okay.
right there, and that way,
Right.
or the people on the meeting, virtual meeting, can hear you too.
As I was saying, I'm Terry Biebermeyer. I took over from Ashley in April of 2019. And so we're just here, I'm here today to just give you an update on FACT and what we're doing and what we have done the past year. And so some of you I know are new since we have been here. So I've got brochures just to give you as far as what FACT is and what we've been the different organizations and programs and services that we have. These are the 2019 annual report, so you can see those. Shows there who our executive board are. This, of course, is as of 2019. Since then, we have added Ron Traxon from Peabody. He is a new board member that will be for this next year. You'll see the various achievements there and our revenue. And do you have any questions about any of?
So I have a
Yes.
question.
Okay.
And I think it was last year that we were presented with a sheet that showed all the expenses and how you
Okay.
actually utilized the money. Do you have something like that prepared this year?
I have for the special alcohol tax. I mean, I don't have them run off for you, but I have them to go over. I can email them or send them over. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to present you with each of these or a copy of each of them. I don't have a problem doing that at all, but.
Yeah, I'd like to have a copy with
Okay.
me sometime.
Great, I will be glad to. Any other questions about the annual report? Okay, as you know, we're in charge of the special alcohol tax fund from you guys. And so from September through June of this year, we have received $5,951.25 in the special alcohol taxes. We have used that for various things. We have sent officers from Peabody, Marion, and Hillsborough from the police force to the KNOA, which Kansas Narcotics Officers Association Conference, for educating, training, and updating on controlled substances and the enforcement of those. We spent $1,481 on that. We have $200 that we spent on professional membership with Community Anti-Drug Coalitions of America. It's the leading source of, or one of the leading sources of, current information on substance abuse trends and prevention methods, and it links us with other coalitions throughout the state and nation, and it also provides notification of upcoming grants that we can apply for and things. We had, I don't know if you've heard about it or not, but Aaron Hine from Safe Kids and the Health Department, along with Tristan Cope from Kansas, the K-State Extension offices, along with us partnering with them. We had mock accidents or consequences day for the various high schools. They were to promote anti-drinking and driving events. We scheduled them with all 5 of the different schools. It incorporated over 30 different county agencies that were involved, everything from funeral homes, the high schools, the EMTs, the police departments, etc. And then there was a special speaker that also came in and spoke with them. We spent $1,097 on that. Two of the events were held. 3 of them got caught by COVIDs with canceling of schools, so we're still planning on doing those this year with the same plans and everything, and the same speaker and all of that. The community programs such that we are supporting, town hall meetings, the hub over in Peabody is, we help support them, advertising, etc. We spent $489 on that. School programs such as high school student council vaping seminars on anti-vaping. We held seminars with each of the 5 different schools, providing education on vaping and the dangers of it. We did elementary school Red Ribbon Week promotionals. We did high school after prom parties support. USD substance abuse prevention programs support. We did breathalyzers and breathalyzer mouthpieces. We bought those for each of the 5 different districts. And that all totaled $7,066. So that's what we have been spending this past year, the special alcohol tax money on. And we notify people that, you know, if they have upcoming events that are geared toward good activities for students that are anti-substance abuse, then they can apply for the for the special alcohol tax funds, and we go from there.
After a year of being in your position or so, a little over a year, what do you see the biggest need to do is to continue?
With as far as the substance abuse stuff?
Yeah.
The 2 areas that our Communities That Care survey have shown indicated that we were high in the vaping area. Not much is known about vaping. We tried to, this past year, do some education of both parents and students, and it was amazing the lack of information that parents had as far as that went. We were higher in that survey than the state as a whole. I mean, you know, the state level, but we were higher than that as far as our Marion County communities were concerned. So that's an area, of course, we always continue to concentrate on the underage drinking. So.
Okay. Any other commission questions for him?
Yeah, I'd like to, what is the hub in Peabody that you
The hub is,
contribute to the advertising?
it is center, I guess I would call. Youth center for kids to come and hang out and spend time together and stuff. It's to keep them out of places that, or activities that would be not good.
Do they still have
Trying
one
to-
in Florence?
No, I haven't heard about that one. They haven't,
They had something last year.
they may,
A couple years ago,
Yeah.
they've tried, it's just not holding together in Florence.
okay.
Just a youth center for children is what the
Oh,
hub
for
is.
children,
I mean, for kids, school kids.
Place to
and stuff.
go.
Yeah,
It's like for middle school and high school.
yeah, middle school and high school.
Okay.
Any other questions? Jonah? Oh,
I think it's dropped.
dropped off, so.
We have,
No.
we have,
No,
Okay, no, okay.
we have currently, FACT has 2 grants that we have been granted since the beginning of the year. One is the Early Childhood Block Grant. It incorporates between 15 and 20 agencies working together for early childhood, to catch at-risk students and families and stuff. I'll send these around also. That's dealing with the new, it's a large grant that encompasses parents as teachers, early intervention services, Prairie View is involved in it, Head Start, Healthy Start, from Harvey County. All of the schools are involved in it. So it's a large project that we have started. We had it years ago. It was known as Catchy back then.
Yeah.
But we lost that grant, and now this year we've gotten it back, and so we're dealing with that. Also, we just got a notification that we received a substance abuse prevention planning grant from KDADS and the Kansas Prevention Collaborative group, and so we have that this year we're working on planning, and as we do all of the planning, then next year we are eligible then for the implementation grant for that.
So you've been busy.
Yeah. Especially, it's been a great learning year for me.
And your job's full-time, or you do this?
Yes, I am now, because of the grant,
Okay.
requires a lot of work, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Is there any other questions? If not, I'd just like to say thank you.
Thank you for all your
We-
Thank you
we
so much
appreciate
for your
what- We
support.
appreciate what you do, and that's why I think we continue to contribute, because we know it
Great.
needs somebody to work on it.
Great, and if any of you ever would like to visit any of the SAPC meetings, you're more than welcome. Just let me know so that we can plan with all the COVID spacing and all that. But yeah, we'd love to have you.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up on the agenda will be Weed Transfer Station with Josh Houseman. Good morning, Josh.
Morning.
All I got's I hired a position for the floor, Dan Selznick, and this is just his salary sheet for you guys to sign.
In case you all don't know Dan, well, he's
Dan has been there before,
Yeah.
so he come back, and about the time I looked for somebody, he asked if I had a position, and I let him fill one out and hired him. So he's a good worker.
Dan Selznick at $2,600 a month. Yeah, I run into him, I think the first day or so. I was just walking through and said he was good back to be in Marion County, glad to be back.
Yep.
Saves a lot of driving from instead of Harvey County.
Yeah. I have Amanda McReynolds. She was on the floor. She's got a CDL, and she's transferring over to being my truck driver. So she's a truck driver, and this is just a change for it.
Okay.
So,
Once you sign it as it comes by,
Okay.
and that way it'll save a trip.
I'm sure about that.
Well, I didn't know if he wanted to look at it and announce it first or whatever, but.
then I've got Shannon Allen, who's been there for a few years. I'm up into an EO2. Shannon makes a lot of the calls and does a lot of the stuff. I feel as he deserves this raise on this piece. So
He was just an EO1.
he was an EO1.
This one here is Amanda McReynolds. She's going from $2,267 a month to.
Yeah, there's no change.
No change in pay.
Just a change of position.
Change of position from transfer from equipment operator one to truck driver. Okay. Shannon Allen going promoted to equipment operator 2 from equipment 1 from $2,380 a month to $2,486 a month.
Have you been practicing keeping it clean around that area? Because I know last week where that park area across the street looked awful.
Yeah, I had him go out last week, one of the slow days, and had them pick up, and
Yeah, that's good.
but
I know it's a hard job to keep up with, but, boy, some days it's really bad.
yeah.
But
The
glad
winds,
you're keeping up with it.
the winds are biggest enemy on it, but I try to keep on keeping that up. If not,
I know it's
try
a
to
pain
go
in
out.
the neck to do,
Yeah.
but,
I'll try to go out once in a while and do it, and just to help out when they're real busy. But so
I didn't make it towards the last part of the week, or maybe even all week last week. I did the week before when, like I said, that first day maybe Dan was there. But where are they at on the floor or the building right now? Are they pouring the floor over there against you, or not yet?
They're supposed to pour the floor tomorrow, but I guess weather pending, whether it'll happen. But it'll be this week.
Now, this is not the pit floor. This is the floor leading to the pit? Or
This is the floor leading to the pit.
Floor leading to the pit, okay. Okay, and like I said, I didn't get up there to see. I wanted to see Dave, maybe he could even tell me whether they're...
Yeah, I could see there where they're framing that up.
Yeah, I mean, got fill in and everything, so.
Okay. What about the pit floor? They started framing that up or anything, or steel?
I haven't really looked down in there. I know they've been trying to get that upper floor, the main floor done, so.
Well, I haven't been there, but I'll get there sometime this week and take a look at it. Anything else happening in your department?
No, that's...
You need to work on the entrance, a little rough driving in.
Well, I'll have them go and smooth that up.
Some, you need county with the blade, you can do it with the tractor.
I think they should be able to do it with the skid steer, just to move rock or smooth it out, so, yeah.
You steal a little bit of gravel from next door.
Has there been any issues developed that you hadn't foreseen, with all the construction and everything around there?
I called in Hamel Scale last week to come out and look, because we've got to move our scale house, and I wanted their opinion. That way, if I needed something, they knew what to bring down to me. But I think I want to move our display, because it shows how much somebody weighs out closer, and I want to kind of leave that permanent there. But we're going to use some of them big concrete blocks and just mount it to it for now. That way we can move and get it where we want. So
Good idea, because that's got to go before long, doesn't it?
yes, yep.
And that's, your control is right beside the pit, right?
Yeah, and we'll move that once that building gets moved or built. We'll move it around the corner to inside the new one temporarily. And then once it's all done, then we'll move it again to its permanent location.
Okay. Well, sounds good. So you're moving right along and getting, how about weeds or anything else? What kind of?
Weather's our biggest enemy, but we're getting out and spraying. We've got a few that next week I want to bring in, talk about either force spraying or doing legal action on people that's not doing what we're asking them to do. So,
Are musk thistles an issue again, or?
It's Cerisa, Johnson grass. There's some musk thistle, but the ones that I've had problems with musk thistle, they're working with me. So I'm not going to really push them. Just some of these others that don't seem to think they have to spray or do anything, and it's getting worse, and their neighbors are really complaining. So
Put some teeth to it.
So how's the recycling going? Are you getting, even with the cost, are you still getting pretty much recycling? Or how's that going?
We're doing, the recycling's doing good. A lot of people are really going to the city and just letting the city pick up the recycle. Maybe one or two people on Friday will come in and pay. But that's, so.
All right, awesome.
Good deal. Thank you, Josh. Nobody else?
No.
All righty.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Josh.
Thanks.
He's behind you.
Yeah,
Where's he at?
Sky.
You're scaring people, Jonah.
But I gotta kill the camera every once in a while whenever the sound cuts out, so that way I can hear clearly.
Okay. Next, we're going to go into SCED review the CDBG with Gloria McDowell. Applications.
Yeah, I know what, I've given you a letter there. There was one under your agenda this morning, but this is a proofread draft on our letterhead. They have announced that they are changing the application again this week. And so Gloria has drafted this letter for us. We have to go back out to each of the businesses that applied and request additional information again. So that's kind of a little bit of a background here, which means you probably will not be able to award today. Gloria, are you on?
Well, it's crazy that they can just keep adding stuff as you go along.
Well, it's really frustrating because
Yeah.
then we get calls, why are they changing this now? Well, it seems like everything that's got to do with COVID, they just throw it out there, and then I guess they depend on everybody else to fix it.
I got
Yes.
people
And I
that
don't-
like to have the money now,
Well, yeah, they need it now.
and now we'll postpone it another 2 weeks.
Gloria, are you on the call? Can you hear us? If you are on and you can hear us, we can't hear you. So if you're on the phone, if you can unmute your phone. Yeah, I don't see that she's able to. No. I know she was planning to be on.
So does the clerk's office have to mail out the new applications then to all of?
Well, she is asking us to contact each business that has applied and request the additional information. So she drafted the letter, which Sherry has revised to, just for grammar and everything. And so it's basically, I think, 3 more things that we need to ask them or ask them to provide. And then also, every business has to have a DUNS number to qualify, and she's got the instructions on how to do that, and it's like a 2-day process to get that. It's
Nobody uses
quick.
that anymore.
And that's a very
Well, the-
complex thing to get.
Apparently it isn't.
Well-
She says it's easy to get it.
I guess if she does it every day, but a lot of businesses that I talk to don't, and it is very complex. Their website is not user friendly by any means. I have to get it for a couple of my businesses that I do bookkeeping for, and it's a pain in the rump. It takes 2 days just to get through the website. So,
Well, the
it is
federal
complicated.
government is requiring that all businesses get a DUNS number and that are gonna have this.
Like I said,
So,
nobody uses that anymore.
You know, I would think that that's a killer
It's
right
from the
there.
60s.
You know, well, the federal government uses it.
That's what they want.
And then they also have to provide,
I'm not
their
talking about
2019 tax return.
So we're basically starting over again, what we're doing.
Well, she's saying, she's asking them to try to return the items by the end of this week.
Yeah.
So,
I
we'll
mean, that's
send
one
it.
comment I got from a couple people, asked if you've done this yet, and they said, well, no, they weren't going to, because there's just too much trouble.
Yeah.
It's not worth their time. But they don't have time, I guess, because
Right.
they're busy trying to survive.
Right, I understand that. So, I'm frustrated as well because
I'm sure.
we put a lot of work into this and then
Yeah.
to keep changing it, it's,
This is where the PPP program was, it's just, once we got into it, we wondered why.
it's almost like the federal government gives out all this money, but then they wanna make it so impossible to comply with the rules that they get to take it all back.
Then they give half of it away before you get.
And, you know, that's really a detriment to small business, because, you know, small business just doesn't have the resources the big ones do, and a lot of them do, they throw up their hands.
They don't have
That's sad, that's really sad.
the full-time person that does this, you know.
And we was, to make that decision, like,
Well, we were planning on awarding them today, weren't we?
We were, and so, right, today would have been the day for the awards, however, they cannot be done today because of this rule change and this having to go back for additional information, so.
I got a question. I had one person that wanted to apply for it, so they can go ahead and start over, I mean, they can apply now for it?
Well, you
deadline-
haven't opened up a second round first. I think we probably need to
So the new.
get the
new-
first round
Deadline
done,
for the first one's passed.
and then we should be able to open it up again.
And so I have another question too. I had somebody who had applied for it, who farms. And of course, then we learned last week that farms don't, or agriculture doesn't count.
Right, they take
And
it off.
the recommendation at that time was, when she was on there, she said, well, just go ahead and get a hold of the FSA office that you kind of qualify for something that they're offering through there.
It's
So this particular-
USDA.
This particular person went there and they do not qualify for that. And then they also contacted, one of the state senate offices, and, they said that you cannot qualify for that. So what I wanna know is, if they don't qualify for what they're recommending as an alternative, does that mean that farm or agriculture is still just totally off limits? Or if they can prove that they don't qualify for that, is that?
The way she talked last week, ag was out.
That's the way she talked, yeah.
Yeah, I can ask her that question.
It's like being a middle-aged white man, you don't qualify for anything.
That's, that one business that you talked about up there, that's on 77 Highway and 360th, right there. He was talking about it had repair store and stuff.
Oh,
No,
no,
that's a
yes,
different
what
one.
about, yes.
Yeah, but they're not there half the year. That was, I mean, they're not year-round residents there. They pack up and leave a lot of the time.
What's the hikes?
This is right on the corner there.
Well,
Where
no,
they
it's
do the
not,
custom
no,
cutting.
no,
Okay.
it's right in Lost Springs.
Okay, no, the hikes, I know that one.
That's
Okay.
what I'm referring to.
Okay, the one I'm talking about is the one over there on the highway. I thought that was where we was talking about.
Mm-mm.
Okay,
Mm.
okay. Because, now I know the hikes, yeah. I
Yeah, they
see
have
that.
the
But
repair
one on the
shop.
highway, they're not there half the time, on 77 Highway and 360th, I think, where you go to Ramona off of 77, that custom cutter right there.
Oh,
That's the one I thought we was talking
no,
about.
no, no,
Okay.
no.
Okay, well, anyway, I will ask Gloria that question. It sounded like the Department of Commerce was saying no on
That's what it
that.
sounded like to me, but then she followed up and.
Yeah, because there is
said
some
that-
funding that's supposed to be available through USDA.
Yes, and she went and she followed that up, and, because I think Gloria called her or something.
Okay.
Somehow she got notified of it.
Yeah.
Somehow, and followed it up.
Okay.
And
Well, I'll ask, but the way she was talking last week, it didn't sound like the Department of Commerce was going to allow that for agriculture, so. So anyway, that's your update. Gloria was gonna be on to talk about that, but I don't know, I'm not quite sure what happens there, so. And this was just announced a few days ago. Like, maybe Wednesday or Thursday?
Well, how are we gonna get to all those businesses? You just give them a phone call? take a seat?
Yeah, we'll email the information or
Okay.
call them and follow up with them, but.
Okay. All righty. Any other questions? This next one I put on the agenda, and I'll tell you why, is, and I know some of our up north part of towns, small towns up north got it through when they did it. Tri-County did it, got a grant back years ago to put the fiber in and stuff like that. But I've been attending Burns City Council meeting down there, and there's a lady down there that's avidly working for, because they do have some aerial, I don't know, it's not Vibe, but they do have some aerials where they have to put a telephone pole up in their backyard, and the cost to them is like $600-700, and then they put a sending unit over to the main deal on the water tower. So, and it's all through the air for that fast service, internet
That's
service.
the line of sight.
But what they have is, she's working on a company out of Potwin that serves Potwin and some other small towns, and they're within 2 miles of Burns, and she's working on trying to get them to come to serve Burns. I guess there's already been like a year ago or so, there was a little deal sent out to inquire what people would like, and people felt they didn't know enough about it, and bring them to their town. So there wasn't too many received. I think now at this time, this gal's taken over, and she's wanting to do a door-to-door survey of Burns, and so she can give them the facts and stuff that this company would need to know to come to Burns. And while I was listening to all this down there and her presenting it to the city council, I just said, well, what about some of the other small towns all over our county that don't have fast internet with COVID and school learning and home learning and stuff like that? What can we do as a commission to bring something about? The only thing I had in mind is this one's already started, or she's already working on this and that, but like I said, I thought maybe some sort of amount of dollars, $2,500, $5,000, that we set to give to the city council if they pursue it. If they pursue something with a company, not just give it to them, but I mean, if they pursue getting that maybe we could help any of our small towns.
Do we know what Tri-County's plans are in the future? I know Hillsboro's had some discussions with them, and you know, I don't know exactly how far it's gone, but you know, if they would extend their territory or extend their fiber optics, whatever that would be, you know, going that far south, they could cover several more communities. But you know, it might be good to hear from Tri-County what their long-term plan might be.
Eagle too.
Or yeah,
They're in Marion.
This company's Weed Stick that serves Potland that's within 2 miles of Burns. But
It's a farm
on
company.
your deal though, Kent, maybe does it, since you've asked that question, is it something that the commission needs to send out and ask for people to come to look at our county and see how we can be better served?
well, you know, at least we could maybe get some kind of overview or what their thoughts about service to Marion County or part of Marion County, whatever that
Yeah,
might be.
to extend
Like
fiber.
you said, I don't know much about Eagle. Are they into fiber optics?
Yes.
But
Yeah.
yet they haven't done
Yeah.
anything in Marion.
Yeah.
Yes,
They do?
yeah.
Eagle and AT&T both have fiber in Marion.
Well, I know what AT&T, what their company philosophy is, but, you know, maybe from Tri-County, Eagle, or whoever would be receptive to come and just, you know, talk about what could be a possibility, or
If they can all
reach
work
out,
work
and there might be
together.
more companies than that I don't know about.
I know Peabody's had a couple fiber companies come through, and right now, if you go to the Peabody Library, he's got 5G into the library and everything right there. It's just, the library is ahead of most of everything in Peabody right now. I mean,
They have fiber optic in the library?
They have fiber optic service, yeah, to the library, yes. And so that, I know Roger Charles, you remember the preacher that's been here before, he's the one that's the librarian there, and I just asked him the other day what's available out here. So he said, well, we're pretty well set on that. They're looking for a generator to help them stay afloat with all the power outages they've had. So, but that's what this, as far as service, they're pretty well. But I don't know if it's not to the whole town, you know.
To the homes have.
To the homes, it's just.
But yeah, like Tri-County, if their town was in the service area, they took the whole town up.
Yes.
They went into every house.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's.
Cause they had
yeah.
phone service too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would we have to do to get different people give us their proposals to tell us what they can do and what a cost would be and what would be involved?
What-
Sked was talking about that one time.
Sort of task force or something like that.
You know, just if there's even interest, you know, because rural communities have just been left out, you know, and with this COVID deal, you know, now we're not talking about just schools, but I mean, with all the telemedicine thing
Yeah.
anymore, those
Yeah.
kind of things.
Yeah.
You know, they're being pushed by Blue Cross and everybody else that's in that business. I mean, I'm glad Randy brought it up because, you know, there's been a lot of discussion at the community level, but we haven't talked about it.
Yeah, we never have, yeah. And so-
We're doing doctoring from an easy chair at home. Jackie is now.
Yeah.
She hadn't been to the doctor in 6 months, but she has regular appointments every 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah. Jonah, you got anything to kick in here?
No, I'm glad you brought it up. I would get behind anything that takes fiber to residents. I know it's a huge dollar figure. I know the number that you're throwing out is probably just to encourage the R&D. But as far as implementation and putting in the infrastructure, it's going to be, it's comparable to our road and bridge is what we're talking about here.
Yes.
But I honestly believe that fiber is our new highway, our interstate system. Before that was a rail system. Without fiber, we lose our element of travel.
And I know with the ones that you see that have been active in that are the small telephone companies.
Yes.
I would say.
But
The tri-counties,
They have government programs.
Mound Ridge, I think, is pretty proactive, and, you know, that might even be a company to talk to too, I don't know.
But isn't that something though that the public pays for? I mean, I know we have it up by Tampa.
Yeah.
And have awesome, but we pay dearly for it, but I wouldn't live without it. But so isn't that something that the individual pays a portion of
I
somehow?
imagine it become part of your phone bill.
How much,
Sure.
how much do you pay for internet?
Yeah,
I pay every bit $175.
It would be,
Okay.
you know,
But
it would be,
the plan
it would be
that this-
like a fiber optic surcharge or something that would be part of your bill.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at
Yeah.
one of those bills.
this little lady that's working on it down there, the company, this Wheat State, was looking for just to see how many people would even say they're even interested once they come and bring their fiber in to town. And so I think right now they're just trying to get a survey to give to the company to say, here's what we have interested, because there is some people who already has the high you know, through the air, but yet when the storms or anything else comes, it wipes it out. And so that's what I was working with this person and that's brought to my attention when she presented that to the Burn City Council the other night. And that's why I'm just bringing it to us for kicking around for what we think we might do. A letter of you know, I guess open letter, say, come see us, or come look at our counties, look at our communities.
Well, when you look at some of
But it is
almost
dollar.
all the small communities in the county, they've all decreased in population.
Yes.
And they can't offer any of the amenities that even Hillsborough, Marion, or maybe Peabody or whatever.
Right.
And so, you know, if you look at it from that point of view, you know, the demise of the small towns are coming even quicker if they don't have
Internet service.
IT, that type of IT service.
And I couldn't tell you whatever town in every one of our small towns, let's say from Florence on down, Florence, Gosselin on down to smaller, I couldn't tell you what they have for service in some of our towns.
You know, you get out in western Kansas and most of the communities are served by small telephone companies, and they're all into that.
Yeah.
And you know, to bring in young families and stuff,
Yeah.
that's what they need, that's what they look for.
Well, yeah, especially people that can work at home.
Right.
And there's getting to be more and more and more of those.
Students, the whole 9 yards.
Ulysses, I looked out there when I was working out there, when I shipped out there, you know, we're talking about radio towers, and the big issue here, right here in Marion, Kansas is what brought to me. And I think I said this at a commission meeting, right in the center of the town is a 200 and some foot tower, but that company is there, small town telephone company, and they've got about 12 employees. Trucks pull in of a morning, 12 trucks. So but it just, that was their sending tower, I guess, and I don't know whether they have fiber there or not, but it was just the deal. You bring somebody like that and it brings jobs to your town.
Well, you know, if we could coerce one of these small town companies into, even if we did the surveys, to try to determine if there's enough interest, because in the end, can they make money or not? If they can't make money,
that's what
it
is.
doesn't matter.
That's true, I agree.
So it'd have to start out with some type of survey, and would you take it or not? And like you said, maybe a lot of families can't afford it because it's gonna be a cost.
Yeah, I don't know, what's the fiber cost? I didn't ask her what this Wheat State company's price would be per month, but what is a fiber out in the country now cost? Do you have it?
Well, yeah, I know, we bundle, and for the total, for the phone and the internet and the TV, we're paying $260
Yeah.
a month.
Right, when you bundle, yeah, I can agree.
But if you have them all separate.
Yeah, with the bundle.
together,
If you have them separate, it's more, because we don't use the home phone ever. But you have to have it, or it would cost more, so I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. Brad, do you happen to know any prices that a person might pay to have internet service and a fiber optic service in a house out in a rural county, anything like that?
No idea on the pricing.
I don't either. I don't have a clue either.
I
But
mean, Eagle is got $50 and $75.
yeah, that's when you're in the community,
Yeah.
bigger community, and they can cut the cost down.
Tri-County clear down to 56 here. That's her tower right outside of town.
And so I have to clarify, even when I pay for high speed, they
High
have
speed,
different
yes.
categories.
Yes, different
So-
categories, yes.
That's what I'm
yes.
doing too.
Yeah, so I mean, everybody doesn't have to get that,
Right.
pay that much.
Right.
Too much TV to work you do.
If you go back a couple of decades when they broke up Bell, they assigned companies to a certain area. And I lived in an area that was assigned to Sprint. Well, Sprint did not want to be doing business in rural Kansas,
No.
and they still don't to this
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know where to go with this or anything, but I just,
I think it's a topic we probably need to talk about occasionally.
okay. Maybe we can send, if somebody hears about it.
Maybe talk with some of the small town officials.
Okay,
Well, the schools are behind. They need to be interested in, because of the student and teaching at home.
yeah.
Because they got, we're probably gonna go back to homeschooling at some time again.
Don't say that.
Oh, that's awesome, you say that, that's what, I love homeschooling. That's
Well,
what you think.
homeschooling
No,
or
homeschool.
remote school, that's what you
Remote,
mean.
excuse me, remote.
Yeah.
I'm against
I'm not putting down
homeschooling.
homeschooling,
Oh, yeah.
but I'm against remote learning,
Hmm.
if there's any other
Kids
possibility.
lose their social
No,
skills.
they don't.
That's true. Well, that's enough said. I will continue to maybe put something together, or try to work on something for this, because I think it's something we could at least ask. If we never get nobody to come, or if we never ask nobody, nobody will come.
Right,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Maybe, I'm up in Tri-County up there, maybe I need to just, I'm in Council Grove every once in a while, and I know somebody works up there, so maybe I just need to stop in and ask. and
They
see
got a nice
see what it
office,
would take. Yeah.
lots of people.
Yeah, just talk. Okay, thank you all for giving me time
Randy.
on that.
Jonah's trying to say something.
Who?
Jonah's trying to say
Yeah,
something.
Jonah?
Randy, I'd just like to say thanks for bringing light to this. I feel very strongly about improving our internet in the county.
Okay,
So,
give us some good ideas, Ed, get your thinking hat on.
yeah, I got some contacts. I'll get them.
Okay, sounds super, thank you, Jonah. Next on the list, probably just in time for somebody to sit down beside me, commission discussion, employee handbook.
Yeah, so I'm the one that put that on the agenda. And so, and I'm glad Brad is here. So what I'm gonna do, I decided to go into executive session with it for maybe 10 minutes to discuss on employee matters of personnel. Is that perfect? Okay. Yeah, so I'm gonna ask that we go into executive session to discuss personnel matters for non-elected personnel, specifically on performance with the commission and Brad, according to KSA 754319B, for 10 minutes.
Brad, it is the newspaper's understanding that a discussion concerning non-elected personnel which affects the entire category is a violation.
It would be if it affects the entire category.
I'm sorry, please speak up.
It would be if it affects the entire category. If it's to speak about a particular employee, then it's permissible.
Well,
And
my understanding of
didn't make the
this
motion,
is it
but-
was a category and not a particular employee.
If that's the case, then you would be correct. If it's about a particular employee, then it's permissible.
So what is the discussion?
Okay,
It's on performance on a particular employee.
On a particular employee,
On a particular employee, yes.
So it's not the handbook then?
Well, that's the way I put it on the agenda, that's the way it was discussed on the agenda, but
And if there's
Without
information
violating
about the
policy.
handbook in general, that would be done in open session?
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
Okay, so currently, everything seems to be okay if it's for personnel, about one single person,
Yes.
employee.
Yep.
Okay, have a motion by Diane for 10 minutes. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
We'll come back into the public meeting at 11:25. No, not yet, no. No, not yet. That would be what we would do. We'd come back in, and I'm asking for a second.
I'll second.
Okay, Kent second. Diane made motion, Kent second, go in executive session for 10 minutes. All those in favor say aye.
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 Jonah? Yeah, aye. Okay, 5-0.
Okay.
We'll come back in at 11:25.
You always get here right in time. Tom? Come in and go out.
Are you calling in, Jonah?
My phone literally just died about 10 minutes ago, so.
Okay,
don't-
do you want me to send you the link to the executive session room for the computer?
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay, I'll do that.
Thank you.
Let me get the video shut down here just a moment.
Sure.
There we go.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, out of executive session, we're gonna come out and then go back in for the same reason. No action taken, and then we will come out and then go back, for another motion for Diane for 15 minutes. If that's what you want.
You want me to state it again?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll move that we enter into executive session for matter of personnel, of non-elected personnel, specifically for performance, according to KSA 754319B, for 15 minutes with Brad and the commission.
For non-elected personnel, right?
Yes, that's,
Yes.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Second?
I'll second it.
Dave, second? Okay.
Okay.
Motion by Diane, second by Dave. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay.
Okay, so 15 minutes from now.
Just to clear it up, that there was no action taken out of the first executive session.
So back on at like 11:46.
Yep.
Okay.
11:46.
All right, I'm gonna end this call and we'll be back at 11:46. Okay, this camera is recording.
He wouldn't work with the employees. There's parking in front.
Shut that off.
Did you get yours turned down, Randy?
Yeah, got it off. Yes.
Okay,
You got us recording yet?
not quite yet, I'm just about there.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, out of executive session the second time here, no action taken. Be getting on with the rest of our meeting. Public comments.
There are no comments on the chat.
Okay. No public in the meeting, so we'll move on. Commission comments. Any Anybody have any today?
Just want to reiterate Randy bringing up the fiber and how much I appreciate that.
Well, thank you, sir. I think it's something we all need to look at and see what we can do. Anybody other than the commission got anything? No? I'd make a motion to adjourn then.
Second.
Kent beat you, he was closer to me. I got first, Kent second. All those who want to adjourn, say aye.
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 Thank you, Brad.
You bet.
Thank you, Randy.
No problem. You owe me one. Maybe I can go to Colorado then.
Paul,